Cops tried to cuff a black woman outside court, not knowing she was the judge assigned to their case. Before we start today's story, comment below where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you haven't already. You won't want to miss what's next. Hands behind your back now. The metal handcuffs bite into Judge Naomi Carter's wrists outside the big courthouse. Her expensive $2,000 suit gets wrinkled as Officer Marcus pushes her against the cold police car. He throws her briefcase down, and her papers fly everywhere onto the wet street. People walking to work stop and stare. Some pull out their phones and start recording the scene. "I'm here on real court business," Naomi says. Her voice is steady even though she feels embarrassed. "Save it," Marcus growls. He pulls the handcuffs tighter until she makes a small sound of pain. Officer Daniel smirks. He steps on her shiny shoes, splashing them in a puddle. "Bet those shoes cost more than my whole month's pay," he says. The officers don't notice the black judge's robe slipping out of her garment bag. That robe belongs to Naomi, the brand new federal judge who is supposed to lead their police misconduct trial in just 15 minutes. Earlier that morning, Judge Naomi Carter, 45 years old, arrived at the courthouse for her very first day. She had just been made a federal judge after many years working on cases where police officers hurt people unfairly. She parked her small, regular car in the normal parking lot instead of the special judge spaces. Her nameplate wasn't up yet. She wore a neat pantsuit, her hair tied up nicely, and carried her judge's robe in a bag. She noticed officers Marcus and Ethan watching her closely. Marcus, who had already gotten in trouble 3 times before for being too rough, whispered, "She doesn't look like she belongs here." Ethan, younger and eager to please Marcus, nodded. "Maybe she's one of the protesters here for that police case today." They wondered if they should check her out. Naomi saw them staring, but kept walking calmly. She thought it was ironic. Today she was supposed to be the judge for a big police brutality case involving their very department. She remembered her father, also a judge, who had warned her about how hard this job could be. Inside the courthouse, Clerk David Lynn kept checking his watch. "Judge Carter should be here by now," he told the bailiff. "Her first case is in 30 minutes, the controversial police misconduct trial." Outside, Marcus blocked Naomi's path. "Excuse me, ma'am. This entrance is for court officials only." But there was a big sign above the door that clearly said public entrance. "I know," Naomi replied calmly. "I'm going in for court." "ID first," Marcus said. Ethan moved behind her. When Naomi reached for her ID, Marcus leaned closer and lied. "There were reports yesterday about someone who looks like you causing trouble." "That's impossible. I wasn't even in this state yesterday," Naomi said. Ethan circled around her. "That's what they all say." Courthouse workers passed by but didn't help. One young paralegal slowed down, but Marcus waved him off. "Police business. Move along." Naomi stayed calm. "Officers, I am here for official court work." "There must be a mistake." Marcus sneered. "Yeah. What kind of official business?" "I'm here for a case," Naomi said evenly. "Which case?" Ethan demanded, resting his hand on his gun. "The United States versus Officer Victor Dragic," Naomi replied. Marcus's face hardened. "The protesters are around the block. You're not going in to mess with court today." "I'm not here to protest," Naomi tried again, reaching for her ID. "Hands where I can see them," Marcus suddenly shouted. People turned to look. Inside, Clerk Lynn checked his phone again. He was getting nervous. The Chief Justice came to the doorway. "Where is Judge Carter? The press is waiting." Outside, Marcus grabbed Naomi's arm. "You're not cooperating. Turn around." "You have no reason to arrest me," Naomi said firmly. "Please let me go in." "I said turn around," Marcus barked, twisting her arm. Phones recorded as Marcus shoved her against the police car. Her garment bag dropped, showing a bit of her judge's robe, but the officers didn't notice. "Spread your legs," Marcus ordered loudly, kicking her feet apart. This is not necessary. I haven't done anything wrong, Naomi said with dignity. Ethan dumped her briefcase on the car hood. Papers, files, and personal items spilled out. Her official judge's paper slipped out, face down. What's this? Planning to cause trouble. Marcus laughed, holding one of her legal papers. Those are private court papers. You can't look at them without cause, Naomi said. We've got cause. You're acting suspicious, Marcus snapped. Ethan slapped the cuffs on her wrists extra tight. Maybe a trip downtown will fix your attitude. Inside, Clerk Lynn tried calling Judge Carter's phone. It rang inside her purse on the police car. Something's wrong, Lynn told the Chief Justice. A security guard named Simmons came outside. What's going on here? Handling a troublemaker, Marcus said. Does the chief know you're stopping people at the entrance? Simmons asked. Mind your business, rent-a-cop, Ethan sneered. Naomi spoke directly to Simmons. Sir, please tell Clerk Lynn that Judge Carter is being detained outside. Marcus laughed. Judge? That's funny. But Simmons's eyes widened. Wait, are you saying you're the new federal judge? She's lying, Ethan said, yanking the cuffs tighter until Naomi winced. Naomi looked straight at Simmons. I was appointed last month. I'm here to hear the Victor and Dragic case in 20 minutes. Shut up with the lies, Marcus barked. One more word and I'll add resisting arrest. Naomi stayed silent, but in her mind she counted every wrong move they made. She had spent years working on police misconduct cases and knew patience mattered. Evidence first, then justice. Simmons stepped back, unsure. I need to check on this, he muttered. Stay right there, Marcus ordered, but Simmons called into his radio. We're taking you downtown, Marcus told Naomi. On what charges? Naomi asked calmly. Trespassing, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. I'll figure it out, Marcus smirked. Inside, Lynn got a call from security. His face went pale. He told the Chief Justice, Sir, security says officers Marcus and Ethan are holding Judge Carter outside. They're what? The Chief Justice thundered. Just then, DA Sofia Delgado arrived. She saw the commotion and recognized Naomi from their past work together. What the hell is going on? She demanded. Step back, ma'am. Police business, Marcus said. I'm District Attorney Delgado, she snapped. And it looks like you're holding someone without cause on courthouse property. Ethan shifted nervously. We got reports of a suspicious person. Delgado looked at Naomi, and her eyes widened. Do you even know who this woman is? Marcus rolled his eyes. Another person pretending to be important. She says she's a judge. She is a judge, Delgado said firmly. Federal Judge Naomi Carter, newly appointed to the Eastern District. And she's in charge of your department's misconduct case today. Ethan's face went pale. Marcus tried to stay tough. She has no ID proving that. Because you wouldn't let me show it, Naomi said quietly. Vasquez called someone on her phone. Chief Robert, your officers are handcuffing Judge Carter outside the courthouse. Yes, that Judge Carter. Chief of Security Alan Ortega rushed out with Clerk Lynn and 2 court officers. Release her immediately, he barked. Marcus froze. Ethan started to get the key, but Marcus stopped him. We're following procedure. She could be a distraction. Naomi stayed calm. Officer, every second you delay is making things worse for you. The Chief Justice himself came outside, looking furious. What is the meaning of this? He demanded. Lynn explained quickly. The Chief Justice walked up to Marcus. I am Chief Justice Alcott. You are detaining a federal judge appointed by the President of the United States. Release her now. Marcus finally realized how badly he had messed up, but his pride wouldn't let him back down. Sir, we were just doing our job. We thought she was suspicious. Your job is to uphold the law, not to harass a federal judge, the Chief Justice said in a low, dangerous voice. Captain Leonard, the officer's boss, arrived and turned pale at the sight. "What have you done?" he whispered to Marcus. Then he turned to Naomi. "Judge Carter, I am so sorry." "Save it for the courtroom," Naomi cut him off. "Now, the cuffs." Ethan finally unlocked them. He noticed a scar on Naomi's wrist, the same scar she had years ago when she was wrongly arrested as a law student. She had gone on to become a famous civil rights lawyer. Now the cuffs were off her wrists. But Marcus and Ethan had just locked themselves into losing their careers forever. Captain Leonard took a deep breath. He was nervous. He tried to calm the crowd and the angry judge in front of him. "Judge Carter, please accept my deepest apologies," Captain Leonard said quickly. His voice shook a little. "These officers will be punished right away. They will be disciplined. This should not have happened." Naomi, the judge, rubbed her wrists gently. The metal handcuffs had left red, painful marks on her skin. She looked straight at Captain Leonard. "Captain," she said firmly, "keep your apologies. This is not about me personally. This is bigger than me." Officer Marcus stood nearby, muttering under his breath so only Ethan could hear. "Still think this whole thing is overblown. It's being made into something huge when it doesn't need to be." But Naomi heard him. Her eyes locked on Marcus with a sharp, powerful stare. "Officer Marcus," she asked, her voice steady and serious, "what was your probable cause for detaining me? Tell me the reason." Marcus froze. He hadn't expected her to ask him directly. He stuttered, fumbling for words. You matched a description. There was suspicious activity reported near the courthouse." Naomi didn't blink. She pressed him harder. "What description, specifically?" she asked. Her instincts as a former prosecutor came alive. She wanted exact answers. Marcus swallowed hard. A report came in," he said weakly. "Someone planning to, disrupt court proceedings. We get those weekly. It happens often." District Attorney Delgado, who had been quietly watching, finally stepped in. "That's very interesting," she said loudly, her voice carrying to the crowd. "Because I just checked with dispatch myself. And no such reports were filed this morning." Gasps spread through the people gathered outside. The crowd had grown larger. Reporters who were already there to cover a police misconduct hearing now pointed their cameras and phones toward this new chaos. They filmed every second. The Chief Justice, standing nearby, checked his watch impatiently. "Judge Carter," he said, "your court session is supposed to begin in 10 minutes. These officers, if I recall correctly, are actually appearing before you today, are they not?" Naomi nodded calmly, as if she had expected this. "Yes. Officer Victor Dragic from the same precinct are due in my courtroom regarding allegations of excessive force." Captain Leonard's face turned pale. His stomach twisted. He looked like he might be sick. "Your Honor," he said nervously, "these officers, Marcus and Ethan, aren't involved in that case. Maybe they should be excused from duty today while we sort this out." "No," Naomi cut him off sharply. Her voice was clear and strong. "Officer Marcus himself talked about following procedure. So I will do exactly that. We will follow procedure." Court Clerk Lynn came rushing over. He had recovered Naomi's judicial robes. He handed them to her carefully, his face respectful. Naomi put them on with dignity, standing tall before the growing crowd. She spoke so that everyone could hear. "The rule of law applies to everyone equally. Today's proceedings will continue as scheduled." The same police officers who had pushed her against a car only moments before would soon stand before her trembling in her courtroom. Naomi walked with slow, measured steps through the courthouse corridor. The Chief Justice and court security flanked her on each side. Behind them, Marcus and Ethan followed with Captain Leonard. Their faces showed the first real traces of fear. People working in the courthouse whispered and stared openly. News of the shocking incident spread like fire through dry grass. Marcus's face turned red, a mix of anger and shame. He hissed quietly to Ethan, "This is ridiculous. She was acting suspicious. Anyone would have stopped her." Ethan didn't look so sure anymore. His voice was quieter. "Maybe we should have checked her ID first." Captain Leonard's voice cut in like a blade. "Too late for that now. You two may have just ruined a federal case and embarrassed the entire department." Inside the judge's private chambers, Naomi changed into her black robes with steady, practiced hands. Court Clerk Lin brought her the files for the day. "Your Honor," he said carefully, "the misconduct hearing is scheduled first. The defendants and their lawyer are already in the courtroom." He hesitated, looking nervous. "As for officers Marcus and Ethan, Captain Leonard has asked if they should be present as well." "Good," Naomi answered firmly without looking up from the files. "And has Defense Counsel Marissa Grant arrived?" "Yes, Your Honor," Lynn said. "She asked about possibly filing additional motions because of what happened outside." "Tell her," Naomi said calmly, closing the file, "that we will address all motions according to proper procedure." Lynn shifted nervously. "Judge Carter, if I may. There are many reporters in the courtroom. Word of the incident outside has spread quickly." Naomi looked at him with calm strength. "Justice is never done in secret, Mr. Lin. The truth rarely benefits from darkness." Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, Captain Leonard made a desperate phone call to the police commissioner. His voice shook with panic. "Sir, we have a situation that could explode in our faces. Marcus and Ethan just detained the federal judge who is hearing our misconduct case." The commissioner's response was loud and furious. "They did what?" If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe and share your favorite part in the comments below. And don't forget to drop a heart to show your support. Inside, Naomi stood in front of a mirror for a brief moment. She touched a small medallion hidden under her robes. It was a gift from Justice Thurgood Marshall when she had worked as his clerk years ago. It reminded her of their shared commitment to transform the justice system from the inside. She picked up her gavel. It was light in her hand, weighing only ounces. But for those who had wronged her today, it would soon feel heavier than stone. "All rise for the Honorable Judge Naomi Carter, Eastern District Court," the clerk announced. The entire courtroom went silent. Everyone stood as Naomi walked in, her face calm but powerful. She sat at the bench. Marcus and Ethan stood with other officers. Their faces turned pale as they realized the truth. The woman they had handcuffed half an hour ago was now the judge who would decide their fate. "Be seated," Naomi instructed. Her voice was steady, commanding. She swept her gaze across the courtroom but did not stop on them. Judge Naomi Carter was not just any judge. She had once been the Department of Justice's top prosecutor for police misconduct nationwide. She had led reforms in 12 police departments across the country. She was appointed as a federal judge specifically to address deep problems in law enforcement accountability. "Before we begin today's case," Naomi said, her voice carrying across the silent room, "I must speak about an incident that happened this morning." Defense Counsel Marissa Grant stood quickly. "Your Honor, in light of what happened, we question whether today's proceedings can be impartial." Naomi looked at her evenly. "Counselor, if you are suggesting that my experience as a victim of misconduct means I cannot hear a misconduct case, you may want to rethink that logic." At the back of the room, the police commissioner slipped in quietly. His face was grim as he listened. "However," Naomi continued, "I understand the concern. Let me be clear, what happened to me personally will not affect my judgment in today's case." She turned her attention to Marcus and Ethan. Officers Marcus and Ethan stepped forward. Reluctantly, they walked toward the bench. Every eye in the courtroom followed them. "You detained me without cause," Naomi said, her voice calm but powerful. "You searched my belongings without permission. You humiliated me in front of the courthouse where I preside. Normally, I would remove myself from a case involving you. But this morning, your actions were witnessed by dozens of people, captured on cameras, and are already spreading online. The facts are not in dispute. She looked at Captain Leonard. I am ordering an immediate investigation by the Department of Justice into the conduct at your precinct. This investigation will include your training and your leadership. Captain Leonard nodded grimly, avoiding her eyes. As for Officers Marcus and Ethan, Naomi continued, you are both suspended from duty immediately. Hand over your badges and weapons to court security before leaving this building. Marcus's face burned red. Your Honor, with all due respect, you can't. I absolutely can, Naomi interrupted. Her voice was like steel. And I have only just begun. The U.S. Marshals moved forward. Naomi turned to the entire courtroom. Let today serve as a reminder. No one is above the law, especially those sworn to uphold it. The power given to police officers comes with great responsibility. When that trust is broken, accountability must follow, swiftly and without hesitation. The gallery erupted in whispers as Marcus and Ethan were escorted out. The police commissioner walked to the bench as Naomi called for a 15-minute recess. Judge Carter, he began softly. I want to personally apologize. Commissioner, Naomi interrupted, her eyes cold. Save your apology. Instead, explain to me why officers with long histories of complaints remain active in your department. Officer Marcus has 7 prior excessive force complaints. All dismissed. Officer Ethan already has 3. The commissioner looked truly shocked. How did you? I made it my business to know, Naomi replied firmly. Before I accepted this appointment, I studied every department in my jurisdiction. Yours came up again and again. Today's incident is not an accident. It is a symptom of something deeper. And it will be addressed. The fallout was fast and wide. At police headquarters, Internal Affairs sealed Marcus's and Ethan lockers. They began pulling every file connected to them. Police union leaders huddled together, whispering urgently. They knew they could not defend these officers. The evidence was too public, too clear. In an emergency meeting, Commissioner Roberts slammed a folder on the table. This ends today, he announced. Judge Carter gave us 1 week to make reforms before the DOJ comes in. A veteran commander stood. Sir, with all due respect, this was just one incident. This is not about one incident, the commissioner barked. This is about a pattern. Judge Carter has been tracking us for years. She did not end up in our jurisdiction by chance. He handed out documents showing that the judge had compiled more misconduct data than their own internal affairs. Across town, Mayor Isabel stood before reporters at City Hall. The actions of these officers do not represent the values of our city, she said firmly. We are following Judge Carter directives and making immediate policy changes. A reporter shouted, Mayor, videos show Judge Carter being profiled and handcuffed. Will there be consequences beyond the 2 officers? The mayor's face tightened. This administration is committed to accountability at every level. Captain Leonard has already been placed on leave. Back in Naomi's chambers, D.A. Delgado watched courthouse security footage. This is damning, Naomi, she said. They walked past so many people just to stop you. The racial bias is undeniable. Naomi nodded, looking over documents. Sophia, you must understand. This is not about revenge. I know, Delgado said. It's about real change. Exactly, Naomi replied. For every judge who gets stopped, thousands of ordinary citizens face this every day, without cameras, without badges, without anyone to help them. In another room, Marcus and Ethan sat in silence. This is insane, Marcus muttered. We were just doing our job. Ethan looked down. His anger began to fade, replaced by realization. Were we? Tell me the truth. Would you have stopped her if she was white? Marcus had no answer. Elsewhere, defense lawyer Marissa met with Officer Victor Dragic, the defendants in the original misconduct case. Your hearing is postponed because of today, Marissa explained. But don't think this helps you. Judge Carter will now watch your case with even more focus. Dragic went pale. Could today make her recuse herself? Marissa shook her head. You don't understand. Judge Carter has spent her career fighting misconduct. What happened today only proves her point. If anything, the spotlight on your case just got brighter. Back at the precinct, officers sat silently, watching the news. Every face was pale. They all knew nothing would ever be the same again. Naomi had an amazing and important life. She worked very hard to become who she was. She went to Harvard Law School, one of the best schools in the country, and she was at the very top of her class. After that, she worked with the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the United States. She also became a lead lawyer in very important cases about police reform, cases that tried to fix unfairness in the police system. Because of all this, she became the youngest black woman ever chosen to be a federal judge in her city. People admired her, but not everyone liked the changes she wanted to make. One day, two police officers talked quietly to each other after something bad happened. One officer said, "Marcus really messed up this time." The other officer answered, "We all did. Think about it. How many times have we stopped people without a real reason?" They both knew the truth. Later, the police commissioner, who was the boss of the whole police department, came into Judge Naomi Carter's office. He carried a big, heavy binder. He said, "Your Honor, as you asked, here are our current training rules, about bias, about how we use force, and about detaining people." Naomi took the binder and thanked him. Then she said, "I also invited leaders from 3 other police departments who have already fixed their problems. They will come tomorrow to look at your department." The commissioner looked shocked. "That is very fast," he said. Naomi replied firmly, "Justice delayed is justice denied. You don't just have a problem with rules, Commissioner. You have a culture problem." Officers Marcus and Ethan thought they could behave the way they did because the whole environment allowed it. "Do you understand?" The commissioner nodded slowly. "I understand, Your Honor." Naomi looked straight at him and said, "I hope you do, because I meant what I said in court. I have only just begun." That evening, the videos of Naomi being handcuffed by the police spread all over the internet. Millions of people watched them. The national news showed the story, saying it was an example of racial profiling at the very highest level of the justice system. In her hotel room, Naomi watched the coverage for a short while, then turned off the television. She opened her laptop. For a year, she had been collecting files about this police department, and now she reviewed them. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was the Attorney General, the country's top lawyer. "Judge Carter," he said, "I heard about today's incident. The Department of Justice is ready to give you whatever help you need for the investigation." Naomi thanked him. "I'll have my first recommendations ready by morning," she promised. The next day, Officer Marcus received bad news from his union representative. The police union usually protects officers when they are in trouble. But this time was different. "The union cannot defend you," the representative said. "The evidence is too clear. The video looks too bad. We suggest you cooperate." Marcus hit the table angrily. "After 15 years of paying dues, you're leaving me?" The rep sighed. "No one is leaving you. But you handcuffed a federal judge outside her own courthouse for no reason, and it was caught on camera. There is no way to win this." Meanwhile, city leaders held an emergency meeting. The city attorney gave a serious warning. "If the Department of Justice finds systemic problems, which seems very likely, we could face federal oversight, expensive lawsuits, and millions of dollars in payments for past police misconduct." The mayor rubbed her forehead. "What can we do?" The attorney replied, "Our best choice is to cooperate with Judge Carter. She has the knowledge, the authority, and now the personal reason to push for big reforms. Fighting her will only make things worse." At the courthouse, Naomi met with community leaders who had been asking for reform for years. "We've shown proof of biased policing," one organizer said. "But we were ignored, dismissed, or given empty promises." Naomi looked at them seriously. "That ends now. I need your stories and your records. This is not just about 2 officers. This is about changing the entire system." At the police academy, trainers gathered in a meeting. The training director said, "We must rewrite our bias training from the ground up. Judge Carter will only accept real, measurable improvements." A senior trainer shook his head. "We warned about this for years. Maybe now someone will listen. The handcuffs that held her wrists for minutes will change this department for decades." 1 week later, officers Marcus and Ethan faced the police discipline board. The room was packed with other officers, reporters, and community members. The board chair said, "We are here to decide if your actions broke policy and what punishment is right." Marcus's lawyer spoke first. "Yes, my clients made poor choices. But they were responding to security concerns during a day of protests." Judge Carter sat quietly as the video played on big screens. The video showed clearly that Marcus chose to stop Naomi while ignoring many others. When asked about it, Marcus said, "We had reports of possible protesters." Judge Carter matched the description. The chair asked, "What description exactly?" Marcus hesitated. "Female, African American, walking alone." The room filled with gasps. Ethan looked nervous but finally spoke. "That's not true. We had no such reports. Marcus said we should stop her because she didn't look like she belonged. And it wasn't the first time. We stopped many minorities for the same reason." The chair asked, "Are you saying this was a pattern?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, I was wrong to go along. But I can't continue this way." He gave the board written records of other unfair stops. Marcus shouted, "You're throwing away your career." Ethan answered quietly, "No, I'm saving what's left of it." The board made its decision. Marcus was fired immediately, losing his pension and his police license. Ethan was suspended for 6 months, without pay. He had to go through retraining and serve 2 years of probation. After the hearing, Naomi approached Ethan. "Your honesty today matters," she told him. Ethan nodded. "It doesn't make up for everything, but it's a start." Marcus yelled angrily, "This was all planned. You set me up." Naomi replied calmly, "I didn't plan to be profiled and humiliated. You did that all by yourself." She walked away as Marcus was led out, without his badge or his gun. Reporters swarmed outside. "Do you regret what you did?" one asked. Marcus snapped. She got what she wanted. Now cops can't do their jobs without worrying about offending people. In a quiet hallway, Ethan spoke to a black newspaper reporter. "I was part of a system that judged people by how they looked, not by their actions. That ends today, at least for me." Inside, Commissioner Robert gave Naomi the first draft of reforms: new detention rules, body cameras, and community review groups. Naomi said, "This is just the beginning. Real change means long, steady work." The commissioner nodded. Firing Marcus sent a powerful message. Naomi shook her head. "It's not about one officer. It's about fixing the culture that created him." 3 months later, the Carter incident was still changing the department. At the academy, recruits watched the video. Their teacher said, "This incident changed everything." Judge Carter could have sought revenge, but instead she demanded systemic reform. The new training now included lessons about hidden bias, de-escalation, and community work, created with help from civil rights groups. Across town, Ethan spoke to a community forum. "We were trained to see threats everywhere," he admitted. "We stopped seeing people as people. That was wrong." Someone asked, "Will these reforms last?" Ethan answered, "They must." Judge Carter made a review system that tracks every stop and arrest. The numbers don't lie. At the courthouse, the commissioner reported to Naomi, "Complaints are down 40%. Use of force incidents are down by a third. Naomi checked the numbers. They showed more fairness across races and incomes. Progress, not perfection, she said. Keep doing reviews and community sessions. The commissioner added, other states are studying our reforms. Naomi nodded. That was always the goal. Big problems need big solutions. In the final scene, Marcus sat in a bar watching the news about the department's changes. A former co-worker stopped by. Tough break, Marcus, he said. Marcus pointed at the TV angrily. All this because of one judge who couldn't handle being questioned. The officer shook his head. No, man. All this happened because you couldn't look past your own unfair ideas and notice that a federal judge was standing right in front of you. The handcuffs were on the wrong wrists that day. Outside the bar, police officers wore new body cameras on their uniforms. One officer stopped to talk with people in the neighborhood, because now all police were required to spend time connecting with the community every day. At a big police conference, leaders from across the country sat in a room, writing notes as they listened to a talk called the Carter Protocols, changing police departments with accountability. In the courthouse parking lot, there was now a parking space with a nameplate that said Judge Carter. When Judge Carter walked to the courthouse, the same security guards who once saw her being treated badly now greeted her with respect. The handcuffs that once locked up a judge had now unlocked an entire system, fixing some of its worst problems. Sunlight poured through the windows of Judge Carter's office as she read through her case files. Her nameplate shone proudly on her office door and on her parking spot outside. Her clerk, Mr. Lin, came in with a cup of coffee and her morning schedule. Judge Carter, you have the police department's yearly review at 10 o'clock, and at noon you're having a lunch meeting with law students. Naomi smiled. Thank you, David. Did the commissioner give us the new quarterly report? Yes, Your Honor, Lin replied. The numbers show things keep getting better. Civilian complaints are down 60% from last year. Police use of force has been cut in half, and new academy classes are more diverse than ever. Naomi nodded, happy but not surprised. And how is Officer Ethan doing in his new job? Doing great. His community program is being used all over the city now. After his suspension, Ethan had asked to work in community outreach. Now he led projects where officers worked with neighbors before problems turned into crises. Later that morning, Naomi parked in her space and walked toward the courthouse. Unlike the year before, officers now nodded respectfully when she passed. At the security desk, a young woman officer greeted her. Good morning, Judge Carter. Good morning, Officer Taylor. How's your sister liking law school? She loves it, Your Honor, thanks to your letter of recommendation. Inside, Judge Carter led the police department's yearly review. Commissioner Robert showed all the changes that had been made in the past year. New training, new accountability rules, and community boards that watched over police actions. The Carter Protocols had already been copied by 15 other departments around the country. What happened last year, Robert said, was a turning point, not just for us but maybe for policing across the country. After the hearing, Naomi met with law students in the courthouse cafeteria. Among them was a young black woman who reminded Naomi of herself many years ago. Judge Carter, the student said softly, many of us watched what happened to you last year. How did you stay so calm when you were being treated that way? Naomi thought for a moment. I saw a bigger chance. At that moment, I wasn't just Naomi Carter being treated unfairly. I was someone who could help make change. Sometimes our personal pain can spark big changes for everyone. The student nodded. But it's not fair that people only listened because a judge was handcuffed. You're right, Naomi said. It's not fair. That's why our work isn't finished. The real goal is to make a system that gives equal justice, whether the person is a federal judge or someone without money, power, or a big voice. Later that afternoon, Naomi visited the community center where Officer Ethan worked. Officers and neighbors were talking, playing, and building trust together. Ethan walked over slowly. Judge Carter, I didn't expect you today. "I like to see the results of our work with my own eyes," she said. "This program is making a real difference." Ethan nodded. His face was serious. "I still think about that day. How I could have done things differently." "The past teaches us," Naomi said kindly, "but what matters most is your focus on the future." As the sun set over the city, Naomi stood on the courthouse steps where she had once been handcuffed. The evening news showed a story about all the reforms since the Carter incident. Cities all over the country were copying these changes and seeing fewer unfair police actions. A custodian passed by as Naomi looked at the horizon. "Heading home, Judge Carter?" "Just thinking," she said with a smile. Sometimes justice works in surprising ways. If this story moved you, please subscribe for more kind and powerful stories. Watch our next video for another unforgettable journey. And share this story with someone who needs it today.